What is up, guys? It's your boy. It's your boy with the fat stash and the hex in the bags and the hedron on the DCA. We got a lot going on. Jim Rat Crypto here. Crypto in the morning. Live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. The bugs are making all sorts of noises outside, like the cicadas. They're firing. Must be the gods. They must be telling us something. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and say Sam's never been primed out so hard. He's crushing. He's stretching. He's working out. He's writing white papers, and he's fucking absolutely does not give a flying shiz monkey what. I don't even think he cares what he says at this point. He's just going. He's just locked in, man. I love to see it. Oh, I love to see it. Oh, I love to see it. The Crypto in the Morning team's working on all cylinders, okay? All cylinders. I'm trying my hardest to keep the media pushing. I am the youngest man of the group, and I have lots of less experience with certain things, and my experience with this team is just pushing hard and taking biceps to the face. I mean, I want to know YouTube. I want to be good at YouTube. I want to be good at streaming. I want to have a studio. I won't stop saying it until I talk it into I'm in my studio. So I want a studio. Oh, Trayvon saw an STA video. Seems like he likes Hedron. Well, it took you 8 months, bro, of saying that it was nothing. So great job. You're with your platform, Trayvon, and streaming every day. It took you 8 months and a video to realize Hedron had uber pumpamentals and you're a hexagon. That's a long learning curve, but I would hit the books. But I do like Trayvon quite a bit, and I do have more token, and I would like some more. Sam, this crypto that's underneath right here, Sam, in the comment here, I pulled it up. DCA crypto. People have been DMing me telling us to look into this crypto. And it's new crypto, and it's I don't know if it's a rug, if it's the best thing since sliced bread. I haven't even checked it out, but I would love to give you a fair shake. So me and Sam will definitely put that on our to-do list 100%. We love looking up new projects because Sam's building and writing, and these ideas are so fun to think about. My God, all these ideas, guys. Anyway, I want to reiterate a couple things before I go. One, I am not going to be saying whatever the hell I want on the show anymore. Why? Because I get annoyed by all the fat, annoying, old, boomer, loser, the annoying people that want to say shit, do shit, but they're not doing anything. They're sitting at their computer, and they're just waiting for a little bit of something from someone's pee-pee in their mouth. Not me. I want to do stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. Crypto in the morning, every single day. Sam's in the background. We're coming on. It's going to be one of these guys. So crypto in the morning, guys. Live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. I already tweeted this out, so I'll drop it before I play the Crypto in the Morning DeFi Proof, the official rapper of Crypto in the Morning, guys. He is a good friend of mine, and he can make money out of nothing with an LP pool, which excites the gym rat guys. Everyone, retweet that tweet right now, and we will see you in just a minute.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that just in case. Jim Reddit sent me to show you the way. Crypto in the morning. 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 Crypto in the morning.
Yo, what's Gucci? What's Gucci? How is everybody doing this morning? I am very excited. I am working on that white paper. I'm also looking into that Doge Doc crypto thing that you just mentioned, and it looks like it's another protocol that there's a tax on there for when you do a transaction. We can dive into it and take a look at it, but looks like there's a
Hey,
tax.
we'll give you the last 15 minutes. How about that?
Yeah, perfect.
We'll give you the last 15 minutes. But remember, when you comment in this chat, if you haven't watched this show before, Sam does see no feelings nor other humans. He only reads and regurgitates what he actually thinks from what he read. If that scares you as a product person, go to different channel, please. I don't want to talk shit anymore. I am so done talking shit. But again, the tax in, tax out thing, very critical. So, Sam, how are you doing today? How's everything going? Let's let everyone, if you don't know Sam for whatever reason, on a rerun or whatever, if this is your first time coming in, Sam's an absolute alpha male. He's been bodybuilding for 20 years. He has an MBA. He went to school for a long time and then decided to get his MBA and work at the bank. And then he was like, wow, this sucks. So he quit the bank, started studying Tesla. And then one day I called him and I said, I think this thing is what's going Gucci right now. And then a month or so later, he was like, I think that you could be right. And now we're studying cryptocurrency.
Full time. That was about 8.
You're the only guy that you can just like fucking trick into studying crypto full time. Like literally, Sam's like, he's just like such a little, like his radar is always going and you're like, this is lit. And like, if it confirms in his head, true littiness, like he's going in. That only happens once in a while, Sam. Once a decade.
I was literally trying to figure out how to switch to crypto. I didn't know how to switch to crypto because I've been focusing on Tesla for, a decade. And I didn't understand how to switch that over. Like, where's the point? Pick here, stand here and then start, or stand here and start, or stand here and start. I didn't know how to do that, or I wasn't thinking about that yet. I'd started conversations with several friends about crypto. I'd even made like 1 or 2 videos about crypto, but it wasn't like I was still focused on Tesla. I wasn't there yet. And then when you talked to me that first day, we chatted. I get off the phone and I go to bed.
That was the gods chatting with you, by the way, not me. I was on. There was something inside of me that I could not stop at that time.
During those conversations, dude, I don't know if I mentioned this, but somebody had sent me Delta 9, which if you guys don't know what Delta 9 is, it's just Delta 8, but it's like made from hemp.
They don't know what Delta 8 is, dingle.
Weed, basically, but it's kind of like a variation of weed.
He's like, if you don't know what the coronary artery disease is, this is the thing, right? But no, it's like they don't know any of that. Delta 8 is the thing that you can buy legally from your store that the kids like to smoke, but in reality, it's just a THC derivative of sorts, which they can sell legally.
And so somebody had sent me some of their products because they wanted me to make a video about them, and I'd never tried them before, so I was like, cool, that works out perfectly because I did want to try these Delta 9, right? The derivative of weed. I wanted to see what it was like relative to weed, and then I'll share my thoughts on that, right? It's just off by like 1 molecule, but legally they're allowed to sell it or something along those lines.
God bless the product.
When we were doing those first couple chats, I was high as fucking shit on those ones. Like I
knew you were so high, but you had to be to get yourself out of that mindset because you were stuck in a mindset. It wasn't like a bad mindset. It was just a habit. And you knew like maybe that Delta 9 somewhere could kind of like loosen you up a hair. So because it's hard, dude, if you're fixing cars for 10 years and someone says, fix this scooter, you're kind of like, damn, that's a lot. Like I never really looked into the scooter. You know what I mean? I know I could. Sam was never like, is this super thing for me? No, he's not an idiot. Like he doesn't need to realize that these concepts aren't, but it's that habit. And you're a bit OCD probably by your own admission, like, a little bit ritual.
So I get off the phone with you, right? And I go in to go to bed because it was late and my girlfriend's in there and I was like, hey, I just talked to GRC and he was telling me about the crypto and I didn't even talk about the crypto that much, but I was like, he has the same type of energy that I have had around Tesla because I knew what was happening in Tesla way before everybody else fucking knew what was happening in Tesla. That's how I made this.
And I never had a clue the whole time Tesla, by the way. Never once did my radar turn on and say, Jim Rat, you need to get on this. I knew it was lit. But
Yes.
that whole decade went by. You did hours upon hundreds of thousands of whatevers looking into that. That was an opportunity. Many people made billions of dollars on that. Many in S
I
curve.
got like a triple or maybe a 4x on it, where I could have gotten a fuckload more if I just took the time to start investing, guys. Start investing, because that's what's going to get you wealthy.
Do you think Tesla with the cars is at a bit of an S curve because every human knows about it, not because it's not going to come? I'm just curious about your point.
I think that BTC is going to get better returns than Tesla. Do I think that Tesla's like a little under $1 trillion, right?
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
But I do see Tesla being over $10 trillion before probably 2030, 2032-ish, being over $10 trillion for this company.
What if the Tesla and the crypto charts, as far as overall market cap, stay similar for a while, because they're right at the same number right now?
You know how we talk about the Great Resignation? So,
oh my God, my favorite topic.
Do you know what Tesla's building that they're going to have a prototype this year?
Something for the air? Something for the internet?
The Tesla robot. Tesla bot is what it's called.
I want one so bad.
It will solve the labor issues, period.
Oh, no.
So yes, think about this, dude. Think about what happens when there's no, because they're solving AI. Like there's AGI, there's different types of AI, artificial intelligence. And then there's AGI, which is like artificial general intelligence, right? So artificial general intelligence is something that can kind of have that would be like thought of as like with a conscious, and then you have to define, well, what is conscious, right? What is conscientiousness? What does that mean? Well, AGI on the first layer of that is something that can, go through and you give it a task and it's able to understand the essence of what you're saying, so that can accomplish that type of thing. So first, initially, it's going to be for rudimentary tasks that need to be done, right? Because it's going to be a robot. It's a humanoid robot that they're going to have a prototype this year. So probably be delayed, probably be next year when they have the prototype. Who gives an F? They're actually solving this problem. And when you think about the market opportunity of Tesla, they've got they're already like destroying everybody with their EVs. They're already destroying everybody.
Well, they told everyone they can destroy them at everything.
Yes.
They've already made that clear. And from an outside perspective, if they want to take over any industry, they're going to. But that's their to choose.
Now, think about the labor market as a product, which nobody's done before.
Doesn't that fuck people's life up? Because I know
Yes.
they're all broke and fucked up. Well, maybe their lives are fucked up enough now where it makes a negligible difference. Because when I go to McDonald's and watch the guys working there, I don't know. I'm never judgmental about it, but I think in my head, of course, I think about, you probably have a kid. You're probably making $17.50 an hour, probably, or whatever at this point, which is roughly overinflated. A few years ago, they would have thought that was crazy, by the way. Insane. Okay. And now you're basically just killing time. So you're killing time at McDonald's. And you're hopefully making a game plan for your next move. But in the reality of the situation, a lot of the people that work at my local McDonald's, when I get my iced coffee from there, are above the age of 60 years old. And then there's 16 and then like 60.
What do you think is the largest market in the world?
Give me a sec.
And
the market where people buy stuff?
You guys in the chat. Well, no, you got to think about it creatively. If it is food, I'd like to hear. Okay. Now.
Was that right?
No.
Okay.
No, but listen, because it's a completely different shift, because nobody's going to have this answer.
Okay.
It's labor. It's labor.
Oh, it's the people buying the labor.
It's the people, but there's every single company around the world.
Right. I see it.
Now, what happens when you solve this with a artificial intelligent humanoid robot? The market is so big that people cannot fathom what this is going to be capable of doing in the next 10 years. They will not be. This is one.
And this was a joke 10 years ago, but this already happens to a degree, just not well yet. Like you go into the local McDonald's here and all the guys are sitting there and you just click your buttons. But It doesn't move. It sucks. They still have to interact with the people. Like, it's just not there yet. You can tell because it's like I could have just asked the person and been the same exact time. But so real quick, what happened to PulseCon? I can tell you really quick what happened to PulseCon just so you can answer this question because I've never seen your name in here, Bud Lightyear. Good to see you. Cool name. PulseCon basically was an event that I think Team Money wanted to put on. He wanted to make money on it as well. I think too many people got involved. I think too many people expected Richard Hart to do work that he said that was a mystery whether it would come out. And they wanted to take 10% of a lot of money. And when you do that, you get the negative repercussions when it doesn't work out of that premium. So that premium that he wanted from all that money, which would have been like, 200, 300 grand cash probably, you get the same negative downside for the year. So you get to ruin your career for the rest of the year. So and that's what happened. It didn't work out. Okay. I don't think that he had horrible intentions going in. Yes, my memes are hardcore. I know, but I can't stop it because the memes are so funny. But that's not the point. The point is he over leveraged himself. He had not enough experience. He took too much money and he didn't know what he was doing well enough to make this work out. And it happens. Okay. If I saw this dude, I'd give him a handshake and maybe a little pat on the ass.
Two words, two rugs, rug pull or poor leadership. You can pick whatever 2 words you want, but that is effectively
it's the same thing. So like, it's like me and Sam saying, okay, I'm coming out with a new hex. It's going to be better than that. Give me all your money now. Maybe I do come out with the best hex ever, but like, you can read between the lines potentially that would be outside of my scope at this moment. And that I like, through my emotional like talking with everyone like that wouldn't be my move. You know what I mean? It's like if you can't read the guy because you never met him and he's taking all your money, like maybe think about it. And don't spend $1,700 on a ticket to go fucking anywhere except somewhere where like you're literally hovering over the air getting blowjobs and like smoking weed the whole time. Like maybe I would do like what the fuck? $1,700 in a bear market will change your future for your children for the rest of their lives.
I wasn't particularly listening to that, but I did see a comment here. Is RH going live at 3 p.m.?
I believe so, guys. And this is just off of my gut because our
probably going to be live streaming it, right?
Hexologist said I have a very, very extremely special guest. They're like best friends. These two, like they're like just two in the same. Like they love joking around, fucking around. And he's in the States. He posted some videos of him flying in certain areas. I put some pieces together. Bullish put some pieces together. I think he's streaming with Hexo a little later. I don't know if it's live together, but I think they're streaming a little bit later. So get pumped for that. Get pumped for that.
You're going to probably be live streaming.
If you watch Silver's video. If you watch Silver's video on a Hedron, why Hedron is going to explode. That's what the name of the thing was. 30 minutes. I'm covering it live word for word before Sam goes on with Crypto Sloth. I was going to do it yesterday, but I signed up for the soccer league and I ended up getting burnt out a little bit.
No worries. You want to give a little bit of a preview? What is one or two of the takeaways for Hedron? Because you're going to be covering this at 5:30, I think, or something like that until 6 or whatever. I've got Crypto Sloth at 6:30, and we're going to be talking about Hedron, Icosa, and Hex and the interplay there. Also, some very interesting stuff. Like, what if there's not enough demand? Like, we've got 3,000 plus NFTs called HSIs that are coming due in 90 days, 80 days roughly from now. In one day, 24 hours, they're going to be liquidated. Is there going to be enough demand to pull those off the market? And how does that affect Hedron? How does that affect Icosa? And how does that affect Hex? We're going to be talking about
negatively about anything, but it's hard. That moment in time has many factors, in my opinion. 90 days in crypto is like a fucking forever. Like, what if there's a bomb? I always say that because it's like a very like out there point. But like I think it gets the point across because the United States and the world has done so much wildness in like, what if they just say, no, we got something else up our sleeves too.
I do that while I'm eating my food. I'm like, I'm ambidextrous with I eat, which just means you can eat with both hands. And I purposely switch back and forth between both hands because I'm like, well, what if my arm gets blown off? What if I get into an accident and this arm goes missing, then I have to learn how to focus on eating with this arm, which means that if that's a possibility in the future, I should do a little bit of that exercise now to eat with my other arm so that it is easier for myself in the future. Just a weird twisted way of thinking about reality, but similar to what GRC was saying about like the bomb going off. Like if you think about those things, not dwelling or putting a ton of effort and focus on that thing, it just puts you, but it puts you into perspective, right? It gives you good perspective because you understand like, well, shit could all go to zero and I still have to fucking survive and move forward. Like you still have to be able to do.
People don't want to think like that sometimes, Sam, and I don't understand why. What's the downside in protecting myself? And what's the downside of having an assault rifle that could fucking mow someone down in my house? Like, you know what I mean? Like things like this. Like it's like, okay, why wouldn't I just like? What if he does come to my house? What if someone does rob me and want to kill me? Don't use a gun, GRC, with high caliber. It could hurt someone.
Well, what do you think? This is how I see this, right? If you put things into perspective, as in like myself, like I could lose my arm, so I should be able to learn. I should be able to eat with either hand or communicate using my phone with either hand. If this arm gets chopped off, right?
Dude, that's fucking smart, bro.
Right? It just happened. It could happen, right? It's a possibility. I need to know how to do this stuff on this hand and on this hand, and I think
I can do my phone on my left.
But what is that? By that understanding of realizing that my arm could be gone or my girlfriend could be gone, right?
Or like, your face could get mowed down by a fucking assault rifle because someone smoked some fucking PCP and you were getting a fucking coffee.
So what does that do? It requires perspective, which then requires brutal honesty, right? So if I recognize and I'm brutally honest with myself, like I know my parents are going to die, siblings, girlfriend, etc. That means I need to take a brutal look at my future and put myself in a better position to be prepared for that. And what you said, why don't more people do this? That's why, because it requires effort.
You've been nuked to zero a few times, Sam, in your life, whether that was early or nuked to zero has a lot of different meaning when you're a young kid, okay? Because it happens a lot. But like, I've been nuked to zero when everyone told me my life was freaking amazing. And I didn't really believe it at the time, but again, I still knew, like, I had perspective. Like, I was like, I'm definitely healthy, happy, people are around, like, this is good. But again, I went into a place that I could have never imagined. You couldn't have wrote a book about it because it just didn't exist in my head. It never existed, this halfway house, this drug addiction, these things of like this. I didn't know what it was, but my lawyer was saying, you better figure it out what the fuck it is. He was, Sam. He wasn't playing with me either. Like, he was like, dude, you're young as fuck. Like, you're going to be done. He's like, I promise you, you will be done forever if you don't listen. And because I was a kid, I was like, probably mouthing off a little bit too while I was in the middle of that. And he was like, bro, you're paying me 10 grand. You need to go to a halfway house now and live there for like years. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. The next thing you know, I'm interviewing on a couch with like 11 dudes, and they're like harassing me, trying to figure out if I'm using drugs, if I'm in a gang, if I'm affiliated. I mean, they know tattoos. I don't have any tattoos, so that's an easy one. But you know what I mean? And I was just like, wow, my whole life changed in 20 minutes. I better figure this shit out. But everyone else has just been on the and I'm not saying any fault of my own, but it's like I was always a risk taker because I knew that there was premium in learning these lessons and I wanted to get it over with. Same thing with chicks. I was like, I know I'm going to have to learn this lesson. I'd rather it not be when I'm 50.
There's you were just doing the rocking motion of like holding something like a baby or whatever, but there's far too much coddling, right? In what's the world today for children and whatnot, where you have so many children, and I say children, and that has nothing to do with the age of the individual. It has to do with the maturity of the individual, because you have so many individuals who have been coddled their whole life, like protected from actual reality, that when they're exposed to the real world, they have no idea how to cope.
And you know why this occurs? You know why this occurs over a long you see how this is happening more frequently. There's no more fathers. There's no more leaders. There's only women with penises. And that is the truth of the matter. You guys can say whatever you want. Until my dad looked down at my mom and said, he's fucking leaving and he's never coming back if he doesn't do what's right. That's when my life got better. That's, Sam, this is huge. Because at the time I hated my father. You know, you fucking kid. I was a kid. But I was pissed because I was like, I don't want to go through this trouble. And my mom had bailed me out probably at 18 once and at 17 once, probably 10 grand each. And she just was like, hey, and I was just like fucking doing drugs and shit. You know, I couldn't. And until my father, I was in college and he was packing my stuff for me out of my thing because I was getting booked or doing something. I think I was getting in trouble, getting picked up by the police or something. Like I don't remember exactly what was going on, but he was like, all right, I'll pay for you to go to rehab or I'll see you whenever. And I was like, oh, I'll go to rehab. But you know what I mean? My dad took
like you needed to get out.
My father was there. My father was responsible for me. He doesn't know all the answers, but he knew at some point he had to be a leader. And he said, I know what leadership looks like. You will never give that boy another dollar. And obviously, maybe now they would, but like at that time, until I had a complete intervention, like they wouldn't even, and they still loved me, of course, but that was a big moment for me. And then this whole epidemic with no one has a father. Everyone's, you see what happens to a dog when only has a woman as the owner. Generally, it gets like really coddled and it doesn't work well with others because women love too much. And then men have to be the men part, but that doesn't exist anymore. And that's why and I want to know what you think about this, because there's this whole epidemic going on in the space. Myron Gaines, Fresh and Fit podcast, Andrew Tate. I know you've heard of Andrew Tate at this point. I don't know if you couldn't have. And they're all saying you should have sex with as many girls as possible while you try to have them be your girlfriend as well and be transparent with them. You understand what I mean? Like open relationship, but I'm the leader and you're just going to fuck me and then I'm going to do whatever I think. You've met guys like this. And it scares me and it scares my girlfriend a little bit, just from an outside perspective, because we're a little worried that this whole, like, there's going to be no leader in the situation for all of these kids is like extrapolating faster than maybe. I think monogamy has a place in this world personally, but I think it's a discussion that I would like to have really quick with you.
It is a very interesting take. And to be fully transparent, I've had that discussion with my girlfriend. Hey, I wouldn't mind an open relationship, right? It's not something she particularly wants at this moment, but I've had that conversation with her multiple times. Because I think that there's dudes that just don't want to have that conversation, but that's what they wouldn't mind preferring. Now, on the monogamy side of things, is that going to be the best thing? I don't know. We don't know that. But if you think a child should have a
father that is with the mother before he is full pubescent,
I think that there needs to be a leader, like you were saying. There needs to be a leader in that child's, like between the ages of 0 and 7 years old, you have the most amount of development, right? And then things become slightly more rigid at the age of 7 or thereabouts, give or take.
Like, yes, more so, yeah.
And having a father figure that is like in that child's life and showing them, like, being a role model, being the leader who's taking responsibility. I think that we'll have a real epidemic, as you were saying, like not this pandemic shit, but like a real epidemic of the lack of leadership in that role, period. Because that's what society's telling people, right? That's what society's telling people you don't need to do that. And we see what happens when you have a single mother, right? Not only does
oh my God,
struggle,
it's the worst. And I'm not saying this from a hate girl perspective at all, but only a woman can only have the emotions that a woman has. It's like when I walk around, all these guys, you have the same experience. I know it. I don't even have to ask you. But everyone wants to have all this sex, right? everyone wants to have all this sex, Sam. Like, it's like they're so obsessed with having this sex. And it's like, if you do your stuff correctly, everyone wants to have sex with you without you doing anything. It's like, and I just wanted to beat that across the points. It's like all these guys that pay all these girls to do all this shit because they're so rich, you know, they give me their money. They send me their money and I don't even know them. And it's just, I sit there and I think about the guys, and they tell me the guys that send them the money too. You guys don't think I know who the fuck you are? You're crazy. You're crazy. Stop sending your money. It's fucking, but the point is, it's like the leadership role is such at a high premium that when I walk around, people want to talk to me because they're like, what are you fucking drinking? What are you smoking? What drugs are you taking? Why are you happy? And why are you not afraid to punch me in the face?
Well, let me say something about that premium there, because when there's a lack of something, then there's a hole, right? That this thing should be filling this hole, and when this is not here, that's going to expand into a bigger and bigger problem because it's not being filled. Think of like a tear in a piece of clothing. When you have a small tear in a piece of clothing, it's never ever going to get solved unless you take care of that. That tear in your clothing is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. If you have a crack in your windshield, the crack in your windshield is not going to get smaller. It's going to get bigger and bigger, right? If you don't have financial discipline in your life, it's not going to get solved unless you effing do something about it. And when you have a lack of leadership in the world from the male role model, the male, like an actual male with a dude with the fucking penis, not all these other fucking people that are like whatever they want to call themselves. I don't give a shit. When you have a lack of leadership, there's a massive premium there. You
Girls, everything,
money,
everything.
business deals, etc., 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 etc. Because of that, there's not enough of strong men out there. And I don't just mean strong men as in the gym. We're talking about the leaders in one's relationship, leaders on the mental side of things, leaders in families, leaders in the financial house, taking responsibility for one's life. There's not enough out there. And that is where that premium is. You attract all those things into your life because of that, because you're taking responsibility for all of those things. It's crazy how much of a premium there is on the male role model right now.
And the people can't even believe it. When I walk around, I say some of the things that I say and I stand up for what I believe in. People hate me. Men usually hate me. Like people that are a little more reserved and will never go down that road of like being like, I always knew if my dad got into a problem, he would beat someone to death in front of me. I knew it. He never showed signs of being capable of that. But I knew it. Like, I knew it. Like, for 100, I know he would slaughter and murder in front of everyone. And he did things wrong too. Like, you know, he was like a worker guy. Like, he just did the whole work thing. And I love cryptocurrency because I think it can give men the ability to spend time with their kids. And that's, for me, one of the biggest thing. Because for a while there, being a man was just working so tirelessly that you never saw anyone. And that was the checkbox. And now let Elon Musk take care of that for you guys. And just park your money on the fucking internet and fucking take care of your kids and see if we can build a great country. Because the kids are the country. I mean, you know, that's how it works.
There's talking about the premium there. There's two instances that always come to mind when I think about this. 6, 7, I don't know, back in 2015-ish, I moved to Hawaii, but I didn't have any place to stay out there. I had a job lined up, but I didn't have any place to stay. And I had a buddy that I'd worked with when I was 18 that I hadn't talked to in years. And so I just posted on Facebook. It was like, hey, anybody in Hawaii have a sofa I can sleep on for a while till I get a place? And he reached out and he was like house sitting this $10 million mansion because the family lived somewhere else, but they wanted somebody on their property so there wouldn't be squatters, et cetera, et cetera. So we were staying in the guest house. And beautiful mansion on the water, pool, hot tub, all this amazing. It's just an amazing spot, amazing property. And when we get out there, I'm big into fitness. I've always been big into fitness since I was 14. And he knows that I'm into fitness and I'm talking about this kind of thing. And after a while, we're doing like hikes and hanging out and shit like that because I'm living there and I didn't know anybody else. He's introducing me to friends and he's talking about how he's not getting the results he wants in the gym and also from a fat loss standpoint. And I say something to him and then like telling him like, hey, this is what you can do. And then, maybe 2 months go by and we go out on this hike because you can hike to the top of these beautiful mountains. And we're on this hike and he's telling me how he's not getting the results he wants in the gym. And I tell him, I was like, yeah, 3 months ago, I told you what to do and you're not doing it. And he got like all pissy.
No, he probably got pissed.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Yeah, like he got pissed at you.
Yeah, he got pissed at me because I'm like, bro, I told you exactly what to do. Exactly what to do. You have the fucking path. You have the answer in front of you and you're not doing it. And he didn't like being called out like that. But I always remember this because a year or two later, we're talking on the phone and he said, hey, bro, remember that time, blah, blah, blah. And he tells me about it, right? Where you called me out for not putting in the work and getting the results I want in the gym. He's like, I want to say thank you. Because like I was mad at you and like pissed at you at that time. But I realized that that's the kick that I needed to start putting in the work. And start taking action in my life. And my life is better now because somebody just was like, oh, results in the gym instead of coddling and just saying that, oh, yeah, there's agreeing with that person, telling them the truth. You're not putting in the effort work. You have the answers in front of you and you're not taking action. That's why you're not getting results, not because of this other thing or that other thing or whatever the case is. And he told me that he appreciated that. And he's told me that multiple times in the years subsequent to that. And the more you stand up as a leader in your life, the more and think conversations like that. I have multiple conversations with other people who have thanked me years later after the fact of me calling their bullshit out. And I'm not trying to do it because I want fucking rewards, as in like, I'm just not going to be around excuses and bullshit and people who are not going to take action. If that's you, cool. I just don't care to be around those type of people.
And we can get into testosterone for a few minutes too, because at the end of the day, guys, I knew I was lacking something in my life and I didn't necessarily know where it was coming from. And I didn't do this because of anyone else. I was a crazy son of a bitch, to be honest. So a lot of steroid use comes with testosterone replacement at the back end of that, because you do make some mistakes when you're a young man. And then you're just like, well, this is lit, but you can just do it with the doctor. And thank God I'm smart, because you can just call the doctor and he can do it all for you. But the point is, Sam, I'm very open about being on testosterone replacement therapy at this point in my life. I could give one rat shit. I do 135 milligrams split between 3 doses, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's as far as I'm doing right now. I'm very sensitive to testosterone anymore. And I feel like I don't want to do that. So what is the thing on testosterone in general? Like something kids are lacking. I can't find a kid that'll punch a kid in the face anymore. Like, we were knocking each other out full speed ahead on the trampoline all day long. Brutal beatings. I was getting most of them. But it was fun-ish, but it was scary. But you learn about scary shit, and they're your brothers and your neighbors. They're not going to kill you. You know what I mean? So, Sam, what do you think about testosterone leadership, fathers in this country? What do you see from an outside perspective, from being very observant over the last 10 years as you've gone in your journey, been stuff like this?
When we look at testosterone, is that kind of like one of the symptoms, or is that kind of like the cause to one of the reasons for lacking of leadership, right? I don't know exactly. I think it has to start with the person always. So I couldn't say it would just be a symptom of this, but this is a poor diet, poor lifestyle, because there's a massive quantity of men, both here in the United States and around the world, that have low testosterone. And that is the ultimate hormone for men. And
everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. You learn that like when you're a child. So just they tell you that, and then they teach you the story that they want to tell you. But go ahead.
So what has increased in the last 30 years? Like men, they want to be fucking bitches, right? Which is perfectly fine. I don't care.
Literal though. Like so
Correct.
a lot of them want to be literal women, and this is not. We're not saying this to point fun. We're saying this as clinical fact. Like this just is what it is. I see it.
I don't care. They want to be women. Cool. Go be a woman. I
Yeah.
couldn't care less. It doesn't matter to me. And what happens when you do that? You have low testosterone that is part of the process. What do you think has increased drastically over the last couple decades? The increase in men who think they're fucking women, right? What is the symptom of that? Low testosterone. I'm not just saying this. This is literally documented. That's one example. You can go look at the literature. There is a real epidemic of low testosterone. And you don't need to be on testosterone replacement therapy. I like it. GRC likes this. But the first steps are taking responsibility in your life for your diet, your sleep. You know how many microplastics and how many like soy or seed oils and all this garbage, absolute trash. Like you think that like eating trash out of a garbage can is disgusting, and then you go to the store and you buy trash and you put it in your mouth and you think there's any effing difference? Oh my God, you're so naive. Like it's ridiculous. People live a poor lifestyle and then they have low testosterone. They wonder why there's a lack of motivation. They wonder why there's a lack of sex drive. They wonder why they're not taking the leadership in their life. They have to take responsibility.
This was my last natural picture I ever took. I was 100% natural in this picture, guys. And I was way healthier probably than I am now, just by proxy of I was doing things differently back then. And I didn't care about money or any things like this back then. I just wanted to be as healthy as physically possible because I was a drug addict and I wanted to not be addicted to drugs. So I was like, let me do all this healthy ass and see what's up with all that. And I'll max it out. So I learned that if you maxed out your body beforehand, that your frame would look a lot better. So I spent 2 years natural, making my frame look as good as I could possibly make it naturally for me. This was as far as I could go, Sam. I'm not gonna lie. I had time permitted. I could, if I did another 2 years, obviously I could have gone a little further. But like in the premium was gone in a way. Like this was like 8 months of like no gains on the bench press, like 6 months of like struggling on the shoulder press to really get over 75-pound dumbbells. My frame wasn't built so much for those big ass dumbbells because I'm a smaller guy. You know that. Come on, at 85, 90-pound dumbbells, my shoulder joints don't want to play. They're like, come on, dude, you don't need to fucking lift up. You just need to kill a lion in battle. You know what I mean? So I started realizing my body did not love adjusting because I was lifting too heavy. There's the weights that I needed to like gain massive amounts of weight at my size. It just was like, hey, I look good now. I just want to look good and be healthy and feel that leadership. But guys, this is me natural. So all you guys think that I take shortcuts, you guys know I don't take shortcuts. But like, get here. See if you can get here. I am completely. If you take a picture of every person in my family shirtless, not one of them has a six-pack. Not one. This is not. I never had a six-pack when I was a kid. I never had a six-pack when I was in high school. But I decided to take a stand, a real stand, and I did everything right. That was 256 grams of protein per day, 0 carbs. And I don't know if I was doing 0 carbs back then. I probably wasn't. But you know what I mean? I was straight.
Well, I have a question on that because you mentioned it earlier. And when we used to do coaching, I would always talk to you or at least bring it up in our conversations around money. But money was never really a big focus for you back then, or at least there was no interest in that or business.
I seen it too much. Everyone had it. I just didn't. It was like, why would I care?
But it's shifted now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because now I got no choice. Back then, I had options. Like my moms would hook me up. I'm saying, like I felt like they didn't necessarily help me with anything, but like it always felt abundant, if you know what I mean. Like if I had a good ass plan, someone would have helped me out with that. But GRC wasn't coming out with master plans back then. But you know what I mean? So it felt like all my friends had so much money. Everyone wanted me to work for them to maybe not everyone, but like I could have made it happen very easily. And it seemed too easy for me for that time. I thought I could have pushed harder in my personal life while I had no children. If you feel me. Because some people are broke though. So it's like totally different. Like I grew up in an area where people had money, where people I've been on a private jet many a times. This is all just happened to be the friend group and the people that were surrounded by me on these sports teams that I played and became friends with these people. So a lot of that stuff to me just didn't have any of that stimulation. I wanted it to know what it was like to have 10 girls want to talk to you at one time and not want to talk to anyone else in the room. That seemed a lot more exciting to me. That seemed like real power to me at the time, but it shifted because now I understand that my emotions were just playing the whole puberty, sex, ego trip game on me, and I got it out of the way. And I think I had a hunch. That that would occur. Like I was like, oh, I don't want to be doing this. All these guys are like 50 and they're still drinking and begging for women. It sucks. And they get none, by the way. So it's like I just saw the paths and I said, let me take care of this path because I have a feeling I can take care of that path later without much of an issue. And that's what I started here. I was ready. Right when I did this, I said, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to go. I primed it up. I'm pretty good timing for me, but it took 28 years of hell to get out. But you know what I mean, Sam? The whole sex thing, it's very confusing to me personally. I love having sex. I do, very much so. I think about sex a lot. I think about sex with my girlfriend. I think about stuff like that. But I don't care that much. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like if I didn't have sex for a month, like I would just be like, oh, fuck, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, what? You think this girl would spit on your grave if she finds another girl, not the girl you're with, but like maybe in the beginning, all these, oh, let's go to Miami and get the biggest tit bitch that has no real actual money and sells her pussy for everyone, probably has AIDS, and I'll pretend like this is cool somehow. And I'm like, no, not cool to me. So Sam, when it comes to the ego trip, why don't you want to have 5 girls around your arm at all times? Because that would buff up your portfolios, probably. Your social medias, probably, just by proxy. You know how that works. But you just, it's a lot. It's weird.
I used to chase a lot of girls, or not really chase them, but I used to just have girls around a lot all the time
too.
And it's a distraction. It's just not something that I'm focused on. I did that for 10 plus years and lots of fucking interesting, crazy, all sorts of shit times where, done all sorts of stuff. And it's just not something that is interesting to me at this moment. Yes, I like women and I like girls and I like hot girls, right? But at the same time, it's just not something I'm want to spend all my time or energy moving in that direction. I've done that before. It's fun, but I think that there's a time and a place for certain things. And people because you think about this relative to say what some other people are doing and they focus on other things. And I think that there's a time and a place where it just depends on what you choose to focus on at what moments in life. And from, being homeschooled my entire life, like there's 7 kids in my family and I was homeschooled my entire life. I wasn't allowed to date until I was older. So around 17 or 18,
your hormones were pumping that whole time. It's 15 through 18.
Yeah, so at 17, 18.
Like, fuck, did I play with my dick or what the fuck? I'm confused. Like, you weren't allowed to go, and your body was saying go.
Yes. And then turned 17, 18, and it was just from there until I was like in my late 20s. It was, that was.
I think that premium on not letting you go probably got you locked up. And I'm not saying locked up like that's the exact reason you got locked up, but you had that pent up energy that your body wanted out, and then you had to get it out in a smaller moment in time because you were sprung up and loaded. I had similar experience too. I was like smoking weed every once in a while, but like if my family saw me smoking weed, like they would be bad, like if whatever bad was back then to me, I don't really remember. But like, so I was scared to death. I was scared to death. I had to hide in the bushes. Like I had to hide in the woods. And it kind of made me like when I was ready to go and leave for college, I was like, I'm not prepared for this. I want more than I need, the kind of feeling. And it just sprung on that addiction even harder because I couldn't learn about any of this shit.
The obsession, right? You know how like RH has talked about, like you can see it in his conversations, even though it is a PR'd version of himself. He's focused on girls, right? He's focused on girls. That's what he's focused on. And I had that to the extreme where when I was just younger, I was at a different point. I already did that kind of thing. And not saying that like it's not fun or that it's a good thing or a bad thing, but like if GRC was like, yo, you want to fucking hang out, play video games or something, I'd be like, is there going to be girls there? And you're like, no, we have girls coming over. No, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm good. You have fun playing video games. I'm going to try for girls 7 days a week. That's what it was like.
Mine was the same way. I was like, they were like, you want to hang out? I was like, no. I would just say no. I was like, I'll just invite a girl to my house. Like once you get a little older, you can start, if you have your own place or whatever, like you kind of.
No, correct. So that's why I'd ask.
So it makes you not want to talk to guys. I always had that problem too. I was like, guys, why are we hanging out like so much? Like what? We could smoke weed and fish on occasion or whatever, but like.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. They would hang out and chill, and I'd be like, no, I'd rather go make money. Or go find girls.
Money too. You were still money too. Like so, that's what I was thinking. What's the main difference between us is probably I had more free time because I was just, and again, free time is horrible for adult men. It's disgusting. I mean, it's the failure of an adult man. Like, why do you have free time?
You get one life.
Why do you have free time? If you're someone in the chat right now, 75 in here, and I'm not pushing these episodes too hard in the morning right now, just for the week or so, because we're doing a transitionary period. And I don't like, it's I want me and Sam have a couple of days too to kind of talk more about the stuff that we would talk about in a private setting. So just understand, guys, like I'm not going to tell you whether to take testosterone. I'm not going to tell you whether your numbers are good. I'm not going to look at your fucking blood work unless it's in a fucking private setting. And you can screen record it from there and spread it on the internet. But I'm not doing it on YouTube. Like, it's not fair to me to just make me do all the work and then get nuked because I'm talking about stuff that y'all are sensitive about. And then you're just screen record and fucking nuke everything that I do. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a fuck ton of money in your mouth and say whatever I want in my private group that's going to have redonkulous fucking premium alpha like you've never seen before. Me and Sam have been studying pharmacology. Sam has been studying this shit for fucking 20 years, literally, more or less. It takes time to learn what you don't know, but 10 years actively, just completely actively. I mean, locked in, loaded, no brainwash, active. So like blood work and stuff, even if it's not testosterone related, even if it's stuff like that, Sam, you could DM Sam and get by your altar and pray that he answers you. But like, I mean, seriously, you better get an altar in a fucking Mother Teresa, fucking all that shit. Because me too. No, me too though. Me too. It's not fair, Sam. It's not fair.
I changed up what I'm doing to make a intentional effort to respond to more people. So on my list of things to do here today, I have respond to 5 DMs on Facebook because I have probably one of a shitload of them. Instagram responded to 2 DMs, and on Twitter responded to 2 DMs. Because on Facebook I make money from those, right? Where I want to build relationships and stuff like that, and I want to like beautiful insights and I learn things all the time. I'm just prioritizing my time that way, but that way at least I am getting into DMs and responding to DMs on a daily basis. But it's maybe like 1 to 5 DMs per day per platform because there's a lot of them, which is a beautiful thing. It's a ton of fun learning and meeting new people because I get to learn and I love that. That's something I'm super passionate about. I'm actually going through the Rockefeller autobiography right now. Very interesting.
Well, you should do a video on your review on it.
John D. Rockefeller is portrayed as a negative person today for some of the things around education, I believe it is, and also around medical system, right? Like the big pharma type thing. And when you're going through this autobiography, which is, 34 or 32 hours long. It's the audiobook version of it. It is very interesting because this guy went to church on Sundays. He didn't go out and drink. He wouldn't go to like social events if there was going to be like alcohol and things like that around. He wouldn't go to like operas and things like that because it wasn't like agreed upon for the church, back 150 years ago and shit like that. Wasn't out doing stuff. He was with his family and his kids kind of thing because that's what he didn't have when he grew up. And it's very interesting learning about this because it's such a different version of reality than what the media puts forth around the Rockefellers, right? It's I don't know. I find it fascinating, and I'm not sure why I thought of this, but it is interesting. He was extremely focused on business. That was his thing that he was focused on for a long period of time, and just happened to be able to get into gas and oil when that started taking off. That's how, like, more circumstantial. Yes, you have to be a smart business person. Yes, you have to be committed. Yes, you have to do it consistently year after year after year, blah, 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 blah. But if you happen to get in on the right thing as it's taking off, remember the tide is coming in. That is crypto. If you get into crypto right now and you start right now, this tide is going to continue to come in and lift the boat of crypto for a long, long time. And this can completely and utterly change your life. Crazy. What's right? Like, this is insane.
Well, that it's hard to even really get into the word salad of that because it's so, you have to be in this information for so long to realize how early we are, because you have to know like the overall. But we're like dude, people, I was looking at the beginning of the hex chart and then I'm comparing it to the Hedron chart in the beginning, well, to the current Hedron chart, and Hedron's destroying it.
Oh, really?
And it's a bear market. So,
Yeah.
So if you want to get serious, if you want to actually like compare and contrast things in your own time, if you want to look at Hex is up 0% on the day and Hedron is still holding at like an 11% from yesterday. Premium, and I'm just saying this in general as I go, I look at these things, I pay attention. You got to understand all of this. We're really early. Hex is so nuclear early. Hedron is so nuclear early compared to Hex. And it's just all the same shit. Like, it's just a different day. Like, it's just like, it moves down the line, guys. And, but it has to work, right? And that's the HSI auction part is the part where I'm not ready yet.
Bro, dude.
I don't get it enough yet. That's on me.
No, yeah. So the HSI auction piece at 6 p.m. EST tonight.
I need you to get all of that for me in your head. I need you, and I know you will. But for me tomorrow, because I'm not trying to talk about the WhatsApp pools too much more. Like, I gave everyone that on a silver platter, and I'm done with it. It's got a couple days left. I've put mine in. I'm probably sticking to that position with that. But when it comes to these HSI auctions, so one of the guys I really respect is Dollar Cost Crypto. And I asked him this with a super chat on his last stream. I said, hey, can you give us your take on the HSI auction? And he says he does not think there will be a large premium. That's what he said. That's all he said. It was quick. What does that mean to you? I mean, like he said on the HSI auctions, he doesn't think it'll be as spicy as a premium as maybe some people potentially think. And then, but that was before Jesse came on yesterday. So this was all. So then we had Jesse. So tell anyone what you're thinking.
So there's let's set it up first. So there's the issue of potential auctions, right? Where think about what happens during an auction, especially in crypto from a liquidation standpoint. You have the duration, which can cause, like, if something were to drop by 50% or go up by 50% or 100% in either direction, how does that affect the auction? And then you have the time of the auction, right? The auctions for Hedron's HSIs are going to last for 24 hours. There's plenty of times where in a 24-hour period of time, you might get a 5 to 25% move in the price of an asset, right?
Oh my God. I think you should say 50 just for the sake of the top side of that.
And that doesn't, and we didn't even mention, right? These are, you have to use Hedron to pay for this thing, right? which you have a fluctuation in the price right there. And then what is it bidding on? Another asset that fluctuates in price. So you could potentially have a 50% movement. And when you think of like if Hex goes down and Hedron goes up at the same time, or vice versa, the magnitude of the effect on the auction could be super substantial. Is there going to be, and I'd love to hear what you guys think, enough demand for Hex? Because that's ultimately what it's going to be. Is there going to be enough demand for the Hex HSIs to soak up the HSIs that are coming up for liquidation in about 80 days? I don't know.
And 80 days is freaking nuclear long, bro. That's in crypto, bro. Dude, we've been doing this for 150 days. Me and you. And I'm saying like 80, I'm telling you guys, this is not a if and or what statement. 80 days from now in crypto will be unrecognizable in one way, shape, or form or another, whether that's 5 more coins that went to zero, whether that's a bull market, whether we're down another 50% price.
Or 30 new projects launch.
Exactly. And a lot of those suck up revenue as well. And a lot of these sacrifices, guys, you kind of see where a lot of this comes into play, like why some of these sacrifice phases bother people, because if you really think about it, this is all about capital and adoption and not in funds into liquidity pool, like for real. So it's just, I see the bigger picture now. I see why people like Hex. I'm a little worried about Maximus because I don't know if people are going to be stoked out about the premium enough. But I'm not. I haven't worked that out in my head yet because and I'm just being honest about like what I see when I play around, because I believe it or not, I use crypto too, and I go on here and I think what's the best value prop for me to have a better time in crypto. So I know what like a normal guy who's focused up would like focus on, and then I ask Sam, and then I ask Bullish, and then I ask Alex, and then I watch 6 hours of streaming, and then I come to a conclusion about some of these things. If I believe the HSI auctions were going to be the best things in the world, no matter what, I would say that. But in my head, I'm seeing that there is structural potential failure there if bad things do occur in the system. So like it is a failure point, whether it's the best thing that ever happened to the asset or a failure point. It's kind of like not a failure. When I say failure, that's probably the wrong way to put it. Failure is not the right way.
I think another way of getting the point across, but saying the same thing with different vernacular, is market volatility. The auctions could cause a tremendous amount of market volatility between ICOSA, Hedron, and Hex. Crypto Dave asks, do you think Hex will pump when Maximus launches? I think you said. Well, think about this for a second, guys. So when something is brand new, there's a novelty associated with it. Like think of like buying something new, right? It's cool to get a new phone, right? You get a new phone.
It's cool to get ICOSA. It's new,
right? And then it wears off. And Maximus did this, and it was cool. It was dope, right? Like we understood that. Now they're coming out with 4 new things, I think it is, and that's a lot for people to grasp to start with. And this, you can hear it, you can fucking clip this and tag me if I'm wrong. I highly doubt I may be wrong, but the amount of attention you need to grab to really like make an impact with launching 4 new tokens all at once that are kind of like very, very, very similar to what was already launched. I don't know. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge.
It's like the premiums there, what they're saying is there. I agree with I know what the games are going to look like. I don't care. And that's me right now. And I probably didn't know what Maximus was when I was coming out either. And I participated in Maximus. Actually, I knew exactly what Maximus was coming out, and I participated heavily now that I think about it. But that's not the point. I sold all my Maximus at 11 cents. And that had nothing to do with Maximus. That just had to do with, I was like, fuck, we're going down. Everyone's telling me we're going down. Fuck. And so it's just when you see stuff like Hedron, it's hard to put your money somewhere else when it's like the same kind of thing. But it's just like, it's a different use case. Don't get me wrong. Like this is totally, the use case on paper is 100% different. But the value is similar as it's a derivative product, and one probably has more pumpamental than the other, in my opinion. So it's hard for me to get off my head about that, if you feel me.
So when I think about these things, right? So I'm thinking about like Max.
I'm gonna use the bathroom, but I can hear you.
Yep, Maximus and the team around Maximus, like the team token, but then they've got like the single year staking one. I think there's like a 7-year and a 10-year staking one, and then each one of those pools, a portion of that funnels back into the team one. So when you think about that, those 3 pools, like the single year, the 7-year, and the 10-year, I think it is, or something like that. There's limited upside on that in the when it launches. They're gonna be at a premium relative to Hex. That's how they should be trading. If they're not trading, you can pick it up at a discount. When the market recognizes that, you get that return. What that is going to be is not going to be anything extreme. It's going to be less than what it is for Maxi. And if it's over what Maxi is selling at for Hex in terms of the premium as a percentage, then you know that like that's overbought and it should be sold off, in my personal opinion. Now, team is a little bit different, but then when you think about the returns, let's put it into context with Hex. Let's put it into context with Hedron. Let's put it in context with Icosa. Icosa is going to follow Hex, right? Icosa is going to be, it's a very loose form of like a stable coin. Very, very loose. But it's going to follow Hex to a certain degree, but with a tapering, right? Like an S curve where it comes out slightly, like with Hex. It's still going to continue to go up drastically, assuming that there's any modicum of demand for Hedron. I'm sorry, for Icosa. But Hedron, now that, right? We know Hex is pretty heavy relative to Hedron. Relative to some other things, it's not necessarily as heavy. But when you put it into context, Maximus and those tokens, right? The 3 of them, it's not going to see any gigantic premium. We just talked about that. Team versus Hedron, right? Because if you think that Hex is heavy relative to Hedron, right, then you could compare Team and Hedron to see what you think of the returns between those 2 things. And Hedron is under, like, just in the last 24 hours, Hedron's up like 25%. 25%. You have 10 grand in there and you have 12.5 grand in there, right? And we're going to see, in my opinion, a massive run up in Hedron that is going to be dwarfing the returns on Team. I don't know all the semantics.
Well, it'll be dwarfing it'll be dwarfing everything, really, because it's tied to the asset that has the highest price appreciation, but it's a derivative of that with less liquidity. So it's just, by definition, guys, we all know these definitions. You got to get really into this information. Richard spells this out to us for years on end, but nobody fucking listens to this motherfucker. Even the people that would literally slurp the nectar off of his freaking fat belly would not listen to a word he says. I swear to God, they don't. And I listen, and he says tight liquidity, product market fit, a community. Man, if you guys could extrapolate a few things and look at some charts. Now, look, I don't look at charts for price action, but I look at charts for history lessons. That's what I look at charts for. So I go back to the Hex chart and I sit there for a while and I say, man, we were in a bull market. Nobody knew about this shit. Brand fucking knew. Wow, Hedron's doing it again, but everyone already knows about it. But we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Like, it's just like, and there's enough dumb fucking whales and sharks that sell all their shit right off the jump. And they don't understand that some things are different. Some things are tied directly, calculatably with software to a B share rate that you fucking know intimately that goes directly straight up in price no matter what. So, and the adoption's already there to a degree comparatively to Hex, because when Hex came out, there was no adoption. There was nothing. And now we have thousands of people putting all their money into WhatsApp NFTs and understanding and watching shows like this on a day-to-day basis. I will manually make this happen with truth only, because it's calculatable. And that's what me and Sam are so excited about. This is not, most things in crypto are just adoption plays. Like, you just, yeah, it works. But like, Sam, are they going to be talking about this on SNMBC or whatever the fuck? No. Same thing with Hex, but we have this crazy leader who really is punching hard out there. He may not do it your way, perfect way, whatever, but like people respect this guy and he's smart as a whip. And we have a community that literally will give a freaking dork 350 grand just because they feel bad. So it's like we have a recipe for disaster here. I'm only waiting for legal intervention. And that's what I am waiting for. I'm curious to see if the legal system will take a direct attack on this at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't even be slightly surprised.
Nukes in China, Sam, right? Like I always say, it's always the nuke. It's not always because the dude's been stealing your money all the time. But this is just important for people to understand. Like this has nothing to do with Richard. Richard had a rule book in front of him, and he created the Mona Lisa and gave it to us all. Okay, he did a good damn job with what he had in front of him. He punched as hard as another man could, and I respect him hardcore for that. But tornado cash go to, you know what I mean? The whole like, it's not always because everyone's intentions were bad. Sometimes it's because the game is nukeable. Like you can press that button. There's always trust, Sam. And Richard has to trust someone too. Who does Richard have to trust? The system. He's got to say, God damn, you gave me these rules. I hope you don't put a big white ink over it or whatever that shit's called. Like, you know, because they do that a lot. Like they like no issue. So anyone in the comments want to comment on that too? Like any of you bigger brains in the comments want to say anything about like legislation and stuff? Me and Sam will do a separate episode on that with an expert, hopefully. But Sam, we'll close up here. I said I was going to do that fucking thing at the end of this, but I didn't. And that guy's probably watching and he's probably pissed. Should we read it real quick?
Well, we can cover it tomorrow. It's up to you.
We'll cover it tomorrow because I make the rules and Sam probably has to be somewhere in 10 minutes. So it would be a rush anyway. So guys, just remember, I am a free thinker. I am not over leveraged into hex my whole entire life savings. I'm learning. I'm trying to figure stuff out. I'm not staking everything into a protocol, but I certainly have a lot of fucking hex stakes, okay? And a lot of those hex stakes I would have not made if I knew what I knew today. So that's another part, but a lot of them I would, period. Like I love to have hedge for my retirement. Like that'd be lit, like a super lit retirement. If all this shit works out, beauty. But you know what I mean? Like that's not the end game for me. Like the end game for me is like being able to survive in every circumstance, in every situation, under all circumstances until someone kills me or I die from, you know what I mean? Until I get nuked or whatever, but I'm going to go for it no matter what. I would rather spend my life in prison than not fight for what I believed in, if that's what would put me in prison. So, and that's just the truth, yo. Because I don't care. Like I would rather have the experience of, I feel like you just gotta be like, in a way, you're like, I'm going to try what I think is right, what's in my brain, and I'm just going to try that. And whatever else goes on, maybe there is a God, and maybe my brain is trying to get something to go out there, and maybe there is all this shit. So I'm not going to fight it, because so far it's proven to be pretty fucking awesome.
And it's just the beginning, dude. Like this is going to be fucking insane as like we continue to move forward, as crypto continues to gain adoption across the board. Like it is going to be absolute insanity, because adoption, the people coming in after you are going to be like buying at a much higher price, and they're going to be driving your bags up, and then you're going to be dumping on their fucking heads. And that's just how all the systems work there. And it is going to be bananas over the next 5 or 6 years, 7 years, as everybody else decides to get into crypto. You're watching this, you're ahead of the curve.
Oh my God. If you're watching this, just understand, don't fucking lose your dollars. Somehow keep them, make sure they're yours, and make sure you get them on computer somehow, and don't sell them if you are broke. Like if you really are in that position where you're like, yo, like Sam could do 175 different things tomorrow if he had to make money. We're doing this because we love it and we think we can make money doing it too. But that's not the point. The point is, if you're in one of those situations, not all situations are meant for creativity. Okay. I wasn't always in creative mode. I was in survival mode for a while there. get what you need to get a house over a $500 room for rent from someone in your area. You could do that every single day of the week. Get some sort of income coming in and get money onto crypto and fucking take a nap. So that's what you need to do until you get there, and then you can baseline and start like moving from there. You got to get there first. You can't be like living in the woods or fucking, you got to get stable to a degree. We would all love to live in a trailer park and just never do anything except just not have overhead. But that's not really the point here, guys. But the point is low overhead, execution, explosion. Like you got to have the recipe in order to get that cake at the end. You don't just skip the cooking part. Like you don't skip that part where I have to build a community and hurt a little bit, all that stuff, guys. So Hexostream, I'm going to cover it after and stuff like this. I'm going to cover that silver episode later today. Sam's going on with Sloth, 6 p.m., guys. We'll have all those links all over Twitter. Just make sure you get on Sam's Twitter and you get on my Twitter and you press the notifications bell, and then you make sure no one else has their notifications pushed in, because then you can only see our stuff.
Yes.
And then you will succeed faster, because all of these people, many of these people in this community, as you've known, I did it to get some ego boost, which also requires money that they told everyone that they had that they don't. So they're going to ask you for yours. Okay, guys, everyone have a wonderful day. It's your boy GRC. I'm going to end it with my favorite little clip of DeFi proof. And we're going to be advertising for the golf tournament all day and stuff like this, guys. So just keep your panties in a bunch. We're all going to Vegas. I'm going to be dressed to impress. Well, that might not be true, but I'm going to be dressed up. I'll have a collared shirt on for sure, and a silky one at that. So, guys, everyone, DeFi proof. He's the official rapper of this channel. Bullish had to step out for today, but biceps in the chat for Bully, guys. Everyone have a good one. Sam, good to see you, bro.
Farming with my stables in the decks. I'm holding IRA and never flex. I'm sticking all this shit on Everest. And I'm balling ECF. Farming with my stables in the decks. I'm holding IRA and never flex. I'm sticking all this shit on Everest. You see, the problem was these epochs. Now I'm printing daily, man, who need that? I check my APR on VFAT. And the regulation printing big stacks. I simple swapped it for some BNB. Took my shares and I made OP.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy DeFi Pro.